Today's conversation is with Tia Castle, who is the owner of Castle Lux Rentals, and we have a great conversation about short-term rentals and the hospitality industry for those of you who may be interested to learn more about having a property that you Airbnb or VRBO or participate in the short-term rental market. So without further ado, here's a conversation with my friend Tia Castle.
Welcome to the Preferred Shore podcast. Here's your host, Robert Milligan.
Well, thank you so much for coming in to have this conversation, Tia. Really, I'm very much looking forward to this.
Me too. It's my pleasure.
Well, good. Well, first of all, I want to congratulate you on the new book, Hospitable Hosts, which is the #1 Amazon bestseller. So that's very exciting. Congratulations.
It is exciting. Thank you. Thank you.
So maybe before we learn more about you, maybe we can just start with the book. If you want to share where the concept came from and what the book's about and go from there.
Sure. Yeah. So I have a personal coach who lives in Australia who developed a great short-term vacation rental company. She sold it. She's a speaker all around the world. And she said, "Hey, Tia, I have this opportunity to be in a book. And would you like to be in this book with about 30 to 40 other hosts and vacation rental owners around the world, bringing our stories to everyone? Because a lot of people are interested in getting into this business, right?
Right.
So it's a very timely book. And it's not a how-to. A lot of people have written the how-tos.
Okay.
This is what really happened in your life to make you want to go into business for yourself, and why did you choose this real estate / hospitality business to get into?
Very good, and I'm sure that there's a lot of interesting stories. There's pros and cons to short-term rentals and things, but maybe, and then you've got your own story in here. Maybe could you give us like a little sneak peek of what your portion of the book is about?
Yes, okay. So what's funny is a lot of us ended up telling secrets that we never really would have told anyone else.
Okay.
You know, when you sit down to write a book, you kind of like spill the beans on things that you
That's
don't
true.
talk
That is true.
about.
Yeah.
So how about if I read you like maybe the first paragraph? Would
Of
that
course,
be okay?
yeah, that would be great. Perfect.
The opening. Okay, so I had it all twice and I lost it all twice. There was a time when I lived on the 42nd floor in a Miami penthouse, went yachting on the weekends, traveled on a friend's private jet, attended Hollywood socials, and double dated with Mel Gibson. And then there was a time when I was in such debt that I had to live at my mother's house until I got back on my feet.
Yeah. That's,
And so...
And then the story goes
and
from
the
there.
story goes on, yeah. So there are, I think a lot of us, regardless of what business you're in, and, with all the realtors that we're all in business for ourselves, basically, with a nice structure like Preferred Shore, of course.
Well, thank you.
But yeah, so it's relatable in terms of, our human struggles.
Yes, I think that's fantastic. So I haven't had a chance to read it myself quite yet, but that will certainly be in the queue coming up very shortly. And I think that it's great, as you mentioned already, as an entrepreneur to be in business for yourself, to have a few different streams of income. So of course, you can make a great living as a realtor, but also to be a business owner in terms of having the short-term rentals, being in the hospitality industry. I would imagine for a lot of people that can smoothen out the income bumps, if you will. So maybe, do you want to share how the business end of this could look for somebody if they're considering getting into the short-term rental business?
Sure, yeah. So it is a great second income, and you can keep it as small or as large as you want. And so if you are a person who says, "Hey, I did really good in this real estate market the last year and I sold lots of houses, and what am I going to do with my money?" And of course, naturally, we like to invest in real estate, and so we have a lot of people wanting to buy second homes and turn them into vacation rental, an Airbnb, right? It's not an Airbnb business,
right?
Because Airbnb doesn't own your business. You're just using that platform to market your business.
Exactly.
So, you can, at first, it's a little bit more than a part-time job, just doing managing one, because people don't realize that it's not just a set it and forget it rental. It is a hospitality business.
Right.
And if you aren't in the mindset of, okay, these people are going to be calling me a lot, and they're going to be asking me questions, and they're going to feel like they want a friend here in Sarasota, so they're going to say, hey, do you know about that free ski show that's going on at St. Armand Circle? When is it? Have you ever been? And, asking you all sorts of questions when you're trying to do your other business.
Right.
And it could get annoying, you know. But so those are some things about the business to consider, but it doesn't happen all the time. Some people like to don't want to talk to you at all.
Yes.
So
everybody's different.
Everybody's different, yeah. So it can be a nice second income. So if you're looking at maybe a small 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and it all depends on whether you're close to the water, you're far away from the water. You could like a 1950s home, maybe just under 1,000 square feet. You can gross, as far as your income goes, anywhere from like 35 to 50,000 a year. Being closer into the water, not far to the east.
Sure.
Because we have different rules for that. But if you can do a weekly rental, which is considered, as far as the laws here in our area, the city of Sarasota allows weekly rentals. The county of Sarasota allows monthly rentals.
Okay.
So you're going to get different income levels based on those two. But it doesn't mean that you can't do a short-term rental month to month.
Sure, absolutely.
There's a lot of people that are looking for those now.
That's right. And as you mentioned, you can keep it small or I'm sure make it as large as you could imagine as well. So in terms of keeping it small, would that be for somebody who's actually like wanting to manage the property and greet the guests and be in communications with the guests versus somebody who maybe has larger amounts of properties and wants to scale it larger? That would be where you hire a management service essentially. Is that correct?
Yeah. So that's what my company does, Castle Lux Rentals. Some people start off thinking they can manage it themselves, and then they're like, oh,
it's a job. Yeah.
Can I swear on here?
Of course. Yeah.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with any of that because it is a hospitality business. And so, yes, so that's what my company does. And we can manage, one property for one person. I used to manage 5 properties in one building that was downtown, and no longer exists. And so, my back end allows for all that, and
Okay.
I have quite a tech stack that I use. I can do daily cost fluctuations, just like a large hotel chain would, and I use that for my clients. I know basically what the inventory is and what the competition is charging for it on a daily basis.
That's very good info. Yeah, and I'm sure it's very much a moving target as well, because there's some seasonality to it and just regular market cycles and things.
The seasonality, the day of the week. There's a lot of cycles going on there, and if you don't use something like that, you are leaving a lot of money on the table. So that's a standard that I use in my tech stack, along with a couple other standards. And I also use virtual assistants, and I never let anyone go more than 5 minutes after they've sent a message without responding to them.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah, this is all very interesting to me because it is so different from a annual rental type of a scenario. And maybe, just off the cuff, is there any pros and maybe even cons that come to mind to go with the short-term route versus the annual investment route?
Yeah. So you definitely used to be that you would 3x your investment on a rental compared to an annual rental. Now it's about 2.
Okay.
So you can basically double what you would make on an annual rental if you're doing a weekly rental.
Okay.
Now, I would say on average, you would make 1.5 times as much if you were doing a month-to-month rental.
I see.
And most of your money is going to be made January through April. I would say like upwards to 40% of your year income. Yeah. And so, you really need to know how to price it during those months.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so what would maybe a con be of going with the short-term route versus a annual rental? I know obviously there's some more active management, but that can be outsourced. Is there anything else that comes to mind? Or
Yeah. So the other thing is that especially if you're in the city now wants you to register. So you do have to get a registration. There's about 10 pages of information you need to fill out. And this is more with the coastal homes,
Okay.
like Lido and Siesta and everything that's on the water. And so there is a lot of oversight, a bit more time and that's involved in getting it up and running.
sure.
And you do have to follow a bit more codes. So as long as you learn them, you're going to be okay. But you do have to know them.
Sure.
And I would say the investment of upfront is a bit more because you are furnishing these.
Right. It has to be tasteful to make it desirable, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You can't get secondhand furniture and just, throw it in hodgepodge. I'm sure it has to kind of be curated and well designed to maximize your revenue, I'm sure.
You're
So,
right.
yeah.
Yes, because it's competitive,
Yeah.
especially here. Yeah, in all Florida, it's very competitive.
Exactly. So even so, with a management company such as yours, is it still possible for it to be kind of like a hands-off, laissez-faire type of a ownership style, or do you still have to be a little bit engaged as an owner when you're doing the short-term rentals?
Well, you can have the best of both worlds.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have two different packages that I offer, and one package is for an owner to be semi-involved, and the other package is for them to be not involved
Yeah,
at
totally
all.
hands-off. That sounds
Totally
good to me.
Yep. And you know what? A lot of people think that they're going to save money if they don't hire a professional company. But I kind of give them this analogy. It's like, okay, so you are a high school basketball player and you're on the team, and people are going to make a bet on you. Would you bet on the high school basketball player, or are you going to bet on the pro all-star?
Yeah, that's an easy choice, the pro.
Exactly. Yeah. So you will leave a lot of money on the table going at it at a high school level.
Right,
You know,
right.
it's not that you wouldn't know how to, start it and do it and greet people. Of course, that's
Right.
common sense. But there's a lot that you don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is all very interesting to me, and maybe we can switch gears just a touch, and we'll revisit some of these concepts, I'm sure. But I'm just curious, what on your path, how you arrived, at this conclusion and started investing in some short-term rental properties yourself, and just how you arrived here. So.
Well, I was an accidental B&B host.
Okay, interesting.
I did not have it planned out.
Yeah.
I was running my TV show. I had a show that I would put $1 million properties on, and I was running back and forth between Sarasota, Naples, and Miami.
Okay.
And I had a condo here, and I was bootstrapping it for my show, and it was just draining me in every way.
Yeah.
Time, and then also my pockets,
Right.
So I thought, oh my gosh, I have this empty condo, and I heard about this Airbnb thing, and so I started renting it out. And I
okay.
started making more money in that than I was in my television show.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes, I know it takes a while to get a show started, and you're not going to make a lot of money until like after you syndicate it or, sell it, and so it was taking a couple of years to do that. So anyway, I really got burnt out on the show, and I had to reassess some things, and I had gotten to the point where the show was being shown in all of Canada on a show called The Real Estate Show.
All right.
It was shown in Miami on 3 different cable networks, and as well as I have a local show there, the Beach Channel.
Okay.
Yep. And so I was getting to a point where it could be syndicated.
Yeah.
And I even talked to Robin Leach, who
wow.
hosted a show.
Yeah, I'm familiar
back
with
in the
him.
day.
Yeah,
Lifestyles
of the rich and famous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do bad accent. But yes, and so he was very interested in the show because it was similar,
Sure.
but in the new version.
Right, right.
And so he was going to be the voiceover, and he was going to shop it to the networks because he was known.
Okay.
And part of the reason why I got turned off is because he said, well, just because we're going to sell this show doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to have any say so. You could actually be kicked out of the host position and the writer's position.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what I wanted.
Right.
So that took me back.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I was thinking about that, and we were looking for a co-host, which was maybe a B-star.
Okay.
And he then suddenly passed away.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was very surprising. So I just took these things as, an indication of, these not, sometimes you just have to say, okay, I think this means something, And so I decided to take a break from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And go, I've always loved real estate.
Right.
And so I decided, I'm going to go into something really stable that, I've loved, and I may revisit the show. Who knows what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
And so, we all need to be marketing gurus, basically, with
Yes,
social media
right.
and video. And,
Sure.
and so that kind of came hand in hand, So here I am running a vacation rental business and, getting my license again and working on some other businesses that are related in real estate on a much bigger level in blockchain now.
Okay.
So, so I'm just, once you get into real estate, if you're like me, you just cannot get it out of your system.
Right, of course. Well,
just-
the show was about real estate, of course.
Yeah.
And sometimes being active in the market is more fun and engaging than talking about it on TV. So I think it's fantastic. I think you're doing a great job. So and when did you arrive to Florida? So what brought you here? How did you discover the Sarasota area?
Well, my father, who passed away, I think it's been over 15 years now, he retired to Florida, and we actually moved to Englewood, Florida.
Okay.
And I went to high school, a couple years of high school there, but I then transferred to Sarasota Visual Performing Arts High School.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of grew up in the area.
Yeah.
And then when deciding, where to go to college, I ended up moving out to Washington, D.C., but quickly came back after my first year of graduating and started working at ABC 7.
Okay, interesting. Yes, and what did that entail at ABC 7?
So, a lot of things. I started off as a news producer and a writer. So when you produce, you have to be the writer as well.
Okay.
And then I did some reporting, and then did the on-air, what do they call that, traffic coordinator? Like when
Okay, right.
What I'm talking about?
Yeah, kind of just organizing everybody and making sure that the timing of everything is going off. Yeah.
And I mean actual traffic.
Oh, is that?
Like,
oh, really?
Like reporting on the traffic.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, wow. That was different than I was
it was something that they
envisioning.
launched
Interesting.
back then.
Yeah. Okay.
And then so I ended up moving out of the area and moving up north and taking a whole different path. And, eventually came back to real estate.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So relative to the short-term rentals and again, being a hospitable host, are there any innovative ways that you've seen recently? Because I know everybody's always pushing the envelope, but as a host, are there maybe some tips that come to mind of ways that you can stand out to try to have somebody have a better experience at one of your properties versus somebody else? I'm just curious if anything like that may come to mind.
Well, I do have to tell you, structurally, pools are always going to, garner a lot more income.
Yes, that makes sense.
And everybody that comes here wants a pool. However, if you're close to the beach and you can, take a short ride or walk, then a pool doesn't matter as much.
Okay.
So that's almost a necessity. And then the ways that you can stand out is to have fabulous decor.
Okay.
And because people are choosing from the photos. So you have to have awesome photography, you have to have fabulous decor, and there are, little secrets to decor, and I've pretty much learned how to decorate based on some things that I've learned and studied.
I'm
Like,
sure.
should I give you a little hint?
Of course.
On one little thing. Give it away. Give the secrets away. So there's a friend of mine who owned artist galleries.
Okay.
He had a chain of them. He had like 40 something all around the country,
Mm-hmm.
and he knew how to sell art, right? And he told me that when you are showing pictures of what you have in your store or putting certain things up, he says there's always needs to be a little bit of something red. He said, when you're comparing photos to photos, that when you put a little something red in there, it always catches the eye.
Interesting.
Yes, and he said if you have too much bland, it's not going to work out. So in every single one of my photos, especially if there is, a lot of gray and blue tones,
Right.
I'll maybe set, just a piece of decor. Maybe it's a vase, maybe it's a flower, maybe it's a throw.
Yeah.
But it's something that catches your eye, and it's just
Right.
human behavior.
Yeah.
That you're going to look at that in when you're comparing. If
That
one
makes
has
sense.
it, one doesn't, that's the one you're going to look at.
I like that, especially because these days the coastal contemporary and the grays and everything is very popular, but it is kind of washed out if that's all that's there. So I think that's smart
Exactly.
to have something that's red. I'll keep that in mind. That's a great suggestion. Are there any experiences around town that people seem to ask about a lot? Just curious what people are up to when they're visiting here now.
Experiences.
I'm sure they're going out to eat a lot.
You know what their experience is? Searching for homes.
Is that, yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah,
I
people are
have
coming here
yeah,
to
they
just
are.
scout it out.
They are coming here to scout, and some people will stay a month just to look around. And that's where I get some of my leads from, or is, people that are staying in my rentals.
Sure.
And so that's another good hint for realtors who maybe want to invest in a second home, and that's where you can get a lot of good leads from.
That's true. Yeah, especially higher end, vacation properties will
Exactly.
yield higher end buyers and
Definitely.
customers. So yeah, that's very interesting. So aside from looking at houses, I'm just curious, because I know a lot of people are doing the kayaks and the mangrove tours and all of that. Is there anything else that it seems like people are asking about a lot? Just curious.
They don't really seem to ask a lot about what to do,
Yeah.
mainly because I have a book that tells them
I
what they
see,
can do.
yeah.
And that's a part of the presentation, and it's something that they get sent before they actually come. Suggestions on, where you can rent the kayaks, where you can rent stand-up paddle boards, which beaches you can go to, what are
Right,
some of
right.
the restaurants that you really like, and that's the part of the hospitality, acting as a local guide. It's very helpful to send to them ahead of time. And that's another part of my tech stack is it is a beautiful book similar to what, Preferred Shore
wow.
has.
Okay.
When you're doing a presentation, right? It's a digital presentation.
I see. Okay.
And it's very similar to that.
Love that.
Yeah.
Very nice. And then, we have some data that suggests where people are coming from, but I always like the anecdotal responses whenever I speak with somebody like yourself, where you have people coming to visit, on a regular basis. Is there any particular areas of the country that you see a lot of people coming from most often?
Yeah, Northeast and Midwest.
Okay, yeah.
So you're talking Boston, a lot of people from Michigan, New York, of course,
Yeah.
and we get some Minnesotans and Wisconsin. I used to live in Minnesota, so I
Okay.
could do a good
Yeah, you did.
Minnesotan
That was
accent.
good. I respect that. Yeah.
And where else? And then you've got people that are locals that are coming from places that don't have a beach,
Yeah.
and some from Miami.
Right, right. So, and then, I guess maybe we can start to wrap up a little bit by just talking about, so if somebody is intrigued and has always kind of had this in the back of their mind that, maybe they want to just start out and take baby steps into becoming a short-term rental property owner, what would be a good way to start in our region here? Where would you suggest that they buy? About what price of housing are they looking at? I'm just curious what you would advise somebody to do.
Yeah. So So you can be a host without having to purchase, first of all.
Okay.
So you can, if you want to rent a home, you can rent it and furnish it. And, as long as the owner of the home is in the understanding that that's what you're going to
Sure.
do. Yeah. And so that's called rental arbitrage.
Okay.
And there's not as good of a margin in that, but it's a way you can get started without having to, if you don't have a lot of money.
Right.
Then if you do have the capability of purchasing or investing in a home, then you can, there is quite a few things to learn, but you can go on YouTube, and there's like a lot of channels right now that will take you from the beginning to the end on how to run a short-term rental.
Okay.
But I would say one of the most important things is you need to purchase it correctly because you don't want to be in over your head.
Of course, yeah.
So, so make sure that where you're purchasing first is legal.
Sure.
As far as either doing a weekly, like I said, weekly, you'll make more money than if you had to do it monthly. And then I actually have a report that I can do a search on. So you can contact me, say, hey, I'm thinking about, investing in this property. What is it going to earn? And I can do similar to a CMA.
Right, right.
And so it's a short-term rental CMA. So I can look at 2-year history on exactly what the competing houses have earned.
Okay.
It's not forward-looking. It is, history. So I do that, and I offer it to realtors. I offer them this comprehensive report because I'm trying to gain business that way.
Sure.
So hopefully, they will contact me and say, hey, either I can't stand doing this. I thought I wanted to do it. Would you please take it over? Or,
Yeah.
hey, I just want you to help me make as much money as I possibly can on this.
Right.
Tell me what I can do with this to begin with before I purchase it, and then I'm going to work with you after I purchase it.
I see. And so, it sounds to me, based on a few things that you said, that you generally favor properties that are a little bit further west in our market, that a little bit closer to the beach versus being out east, that are more rural. So maybe, closer to the beach is good, and then obviously trying to keep the price a little bit low, but still be in a desirable area where you can command rents and have strong demand. Is that?
Absolutely, yeah. And I've been sort of focused on Sarasota when I've been talking to you, but Bradenton is an awesome area that's up and coming. They do not have restrictions like Sarasota does.
Okay, interesting. So
Yes.
how does it work in Bradenton?
So in Bradenton, in general, you can do weekly rentals.
Okay.
On Anna Maria Island, that's designated as a coastal area, and you can do daily rentals there.
Okay.
So.
And for weekly, the host could choose to rent for a shorter time, but then they just would only be able to have that one rental per week. Is that
Exactly,
correct?
right.
Yeah.
So you're not going to make anyone stick to, hey, you have to rent 7 days or else you can't rent from
yeah,
me, right?
Yeah, so it may be a 3-night rental, but
Right.
then you just have to let it be vacant for
Right.
the rest of the week.
Yeah, and I like to do a minimum of 5-day rental, and it does get filled.
Okay. Yeah, good to know. Any other little nuances like that come to mind that you'd like to share?
Yeah, well, so maybe let's expand on, the rental restrictions just a little bit.
Yeah, I would love to learn
Yeah.
more about that.
So, so just because they say it is a month, so say if it's a monthly rental, a minimum of a month, then that means that if you want to rent it out for 15 days, you can rent it out for 15 days, but you can't bring someone else in during that month.
Got it.
If you want to rent it for, if you can rent it for, 10 days, and that's all you want to rent it for,
Sure.
you're good. So, and then as far as the weekly rentals, it's the same thing.
Right.
My minimums are 5. Don't be afraid that you can't rent it out for all 5 days. Sometimes we call them orphan days. If you see that you've got these little holes in your calendar and you're like, hey, I want to fill those up. What is it doing sitting empty? You can go ahead and change your minimums, and that's a matter of knowing how to use the platforms
I see.
that you're on, because there's a lot to learn on those platforms, and there is a learning curve. So that's another advantage to going with someone who has been there, done that, knows
Absolutely.
the SEO of that particular platform. And you can change that and say, hey, I'm going to take these orphan days and just say the minimum is now 3. So since I have this hole that I can fill.
Right, right.
Yep. And so as long as you don't go in that month past 4 groups that are coming, if it's a weekly
Right.
minimum, then you're good.
Yeah, and I would imagine if it's a very hot rental market where there aren't a lot of choices, even if somebody needs the property for only 3 nights, they may book it for 5 just to get a choice. I mean, does that happen at times, I'm sure?
Yeah. I mean, people have left early.
Yeah.
Or they just want to be able to, have their family come in and
Yeah.
out during that time.
Yeah. Very
Not all of them
interesting.
stay during the whole time.
Right.
And when you do have larger homes, it's more about having the family, come and visit, the multi-generational group.
Yeah, nice. And then with the platforms, so I know that VRBO is another large platform. Airbnb is the one that you've mentioned. Would you say that those are the 2 largest, or are there other platforms that you think are important for hosts to make sure that they're listed on?
Yeah, so VRBO and Airbnb are the 2 largest platforms. VRBO actually has platforms that I think there's like maybe 3 or 4 more that are like sub-companies.
Okay.
And they will go ahead and disperse your listing on those platforms as well if you click the button to do that.
Okay.
If you choose to do that. However, I will warn you, it gets really difficult. If you don't know what you're doing, you'll end up double booking yourself and having a lot of problems. So.
Yeah, that would be disastrous for 2
Disastrous.
people to show up
Yeah.
at once.
Exactly.
I don't think
Yeah.
anyone would have a sense of humor about that.
No, that's the biggest mistake that new hosts make is
Yeah.
they don't know how to mesh different platforms together, and they're trying to, get as much as they can, and then
Sure.
all of a sudden people flying from Canada, get there, and
Right.
or you discover the day before because they say, hey, how do we get into the house? And you're like, oh crap,
Yeah.
somebody else is going to be there.
Right. Yeah, that would be disappointing to say the least.
Yeah. You're gonna owe them a hotel room.
Yeah, and then just, in basic terms, what is the fee structure for these different platforms? How do they charge?
Yeah, so they charge the guest a sliding scale depending on how much money they're spending. And it could be anywhere from, I think, 6 to 12%.
Okay.
And then they charge the host. Airbnb charges the host 3%. So they just take it off the top. And then they will go ahead and take care of any taxes. So there are city and there are state taxes, and they send it direct, so you don't have to mess with
fantastic.
that, which is
Very
so
nice.
nice.
Yeah, very
and so
nice.
does VRBO. They do
Okay.
that because our counties have elected to be in a contract with those 2 companies to do that.
Excellent. I think that was very wise. That makes it much easier.
Very wise. Yeah.
Yeah, and anything else that you feel like the audience should know about short-term rentals, if that's what they're intending to do here?
Yeah. It's it's mainstream now.
Yeah.
And it's not like 6 years ago when I started, when people said, "What is Airbnb?"
Yeah.
Well,
I remember seeing the rent arbitrage strategy.
Rental arbitrage,
Yeah, not too long ago, and that's interesting to me, and I could see how that would work out for somebody. It seems a little bit too aggressive for my tastes, but I could see if there's a new entrepreneur that's trying to figure out a way, and they're being authentic with everyone. I could see how you could work hard and make that work. But,
Right. And the other subcategory is home share.
Okay.
You can Google that. And that's a good way to get started as well.
Interesting. Would that mean, I haven't heard of this, would that mean that you're renting your own home that you live in out while you're traveling, or is that?
Well, it's actually like if you have an in-law space, or you
Okay.
have a, what is that called,
like a
utility?
detached guest house or something?
Yeah. They're calling it, what's that, UAE? What's
That's
the
right,
acronym
right.
for that?
Yeah.
So as long as you're on the property, you actually have more flexible terms as far as minimum stays.
Oh, okay.
And so you can, start that way. And that is a way that a lot of young people who are just starting out, that are able to pay for their rent and make extra money above that.
Sure. Very interesting. Wow. Great. Anything else, or shall
I
we
think that-
wrap up here?
There's a lot of little
That you
tidbits
give-
which, you
Yeah.
find along the way, but Yeah, so, and I do, you can go to my website, tiacastle.com.
Okay.
And I do coaching sessions, so if you just want to pick my brain for a half hour,
Okay.
you can sign up on my calendar, and I forgot what I'm charging per half hour now, but
Okay.
yeah, so, tell you everything, all the questions you have, and I coach that way.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I'm a pretty inquisitive person, and you answered all of my questions that come to mind offhand. So really appreciate you coming to do this show and this conversation with us, Tia. And I think that our audience will really enjoy a lot of this information and content. And again, want to make sure that we check out the book, Hospitable Hosts. And I'm looking forward to getting into that and learning more about some of these hosts, their stories and their paths of entrepreneurship and their journey in business. So very much looking forward to it. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate being here. It's been fun.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today, and we will see you all again very soon, I hope. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.